Hi everyone, my name's Sunny and welcome back to my maths adventure. In this video, I'll be going through how I've been keeping healthy during the lockdown. Hopefully you can join me. If you haven't already, I really appreciate it if you can hit that subscribe button. And if you really want to support the growth of my channel, watch the video all the way to the end without any pauses or skips. Now, before I begin, I do want to make a disclaimer. Now, this video doesn't constitute any professional medical advice. It's just my opinion on how I've dealt personally with my mental and physical health and well-being during the COVID-19 pandemic. If you do need expert advice, then please consult a professional medical practitioner. So here in the UK, we are in approximately day 98 of the lockdown. When the Prime Minister officially announced the lockdown, the decision was made by my employer to allow their staff to work from home. In the beginning, working from home was enjoyable as it saved me travel time, travelling to and from work. The hours were flexible and there's a better work-life balance. Now here in the UK, we are into month 3 and I can honestly say working from home, the novelty is starting to wear off. One of the main challenges when I started working from home was having a routine. Now, I'm a creature of habit. I like routine and structure in my life. And when the pandemic started, it really did ruin my daily and weekly habits. So in the first couple of weeks of the lockdown, I decided that I was going to create a routine that was going to support my mental and physical health and well-being. So here are 5 things I do to stay healthy during the quarantine and whilst working from home as well. So one of the first things that I actually put into practice was making sure that I get up at a regular time in the morning. Now, we don't get up at a regular time at the best of times, let alone during the quarantine. Now, my alarm time usually is around 6 o'clock in the morning. However, since the pandemic started, this has gradually shifted and now I wake up around about 7:30 in the morning. Interestingly, a study by the researchers at 23andMe have found that the natural genetic wake-up time for most people is 7:55 in the morning. Now, my wake-up time isn't too far off that mark, so perhaps my wake-up time, my regular wake-up time is evolving as well whilst I'm in this lockdown. For me personally, one of the main benefits of waking up at a regular time is the increased energy levels that I have throughout the day. When I'm well rested, I find that my productivity levels and my concentration levels have increased and I find that I'm more focused during the day. This allows me to have good hard workouts during the week and also assists me in studying really complicated mathematics. So waking up at a regular time during the lockdown was the first step in creating a healthy timetable. The second thing I did was to work from my desk. Now, I will confess that I actually have worked from my bed in my pajamas during the lockdown for only one time though. Afterwards, I remember I felt so guilty that I promised myself that I would never do it again. Anyway, 1 out of 98 days of lockdown of actually just working in my bed for one time isn't a bad percentage to have anyway. For me personally, if you work on a laptop during the day, working on that from your bed is one of the worst things that I can possibly do for my mental and physical well-being. You need to stop working from your bed and find a desk or separate designated space so you can do your job more effectively. By working from a separate space, you move from a mental headspace of a place of rest and recuperation to a mindset of work. For me, the main benefit was moving from a prone position into a standing or sitting position. If you think about it, you've been in a prone position through the duration of your sleep time. So moving into a different position will improve your body's circulation and it will also ensure that you avoid any potential aches and pains, especially around the neck area, the trapeziums and the shoulders. Take it from me, these aches and pains are real. For the last couple of weeks now, I've had aches and pains around these areas. So hopefully after my self-imposed guilt trip, I will never work from my laptop in my bed again. The third thing that I did was getting into the habit of opening my windows around the apartment. Just the small act of opening my windows allows any sort of nasty pollutants inside my apartment to escape and allows fresh air to circulate around the pad. Having that sunshine come through your place of work is an excellent way to increase your mood and also shifts your body from a resting state into a waking one as well. As some of you know, sunlight is an excellent source of vitamin D, which keeps your teeth, your muscles, your bones healthy. Now here in Wales, we recently had a 2-day heat wave. Now that's over and we're back to the norm, which is constant rain. It goes without saying that having fresh air circulating around your apartment or your house is a great way to keep cool. And for me personally, it's a great source of free, fresh air and helps me save money. Now this one is important. Turn off the news. Now that some of us are working from home, we can usually have something playing in the background, like some music or having the TV on in the background. Being an information-centric person who likes to absorb current affairs across multiple platforms, I made a mistake of having the news on constantly during the beginning of the pandemic. I had news on the TV, I had live updates on my laptop, I was constantly checking my Twitter feed. In hindsight, that was a silly way to feed my brain with information, considering most of it was negative. Hearing about the unfortunate deaths and people's struggles around the world isn't a great way to nourish your brain with positive energy. Some news is okay, but having it on 24/7 isn't a great idea. So I stopped watching news altogether now. Sure, sometimes I check it on occasion, however, not as regularly as before. Now, what I do at the moment is have some music playing in the background. During working hours, I have some sort of chilled, trance, uplifting music quietly on the background. And if I'm studying, I switch over to a more chilled out sort of music selection. My favorite is the Chilled Cow Study music channel. So that method is working for me, making my mental well-being a lot better than it was. Not having the news on 24/7, but just checking on it occasionally. The last thing that I do to keep myself physically healthy is getting some regular exercise. Now, since the pandemic has begun, there's been an inevitable reduction in my body's movement throughout the day, which has resulted in me not burning the same amount of calories that I used to when I was actually in the office. Having that inevitable reduction in my calories, I had to make sure that I was actually exercising regularly. When I was in the office, I would do approximately maybe 15,000 steps a day. Now, I'm probably maintaining that number of steps because when the lockdown began, I started an extreme fitness challenge. That included running or jogging 10 kilometers a day. But that sort of exercise regime is a bit excessive and you don't need to do that. For me, I like to break up my day by doing some body weight exercises around about lunchtime. Then I transition from work to study mode by actually going for a run or a cycle in between those things. Before, I used to go immediately from actually working on my laptop and straight into studying. After a while, that became a bit too much, not having some sort of intermediate break in between. So that's why I like to have some sort of exercise in between working and studying whilst in the lockdown. So keeping fit is vitally important for my mind and body. So that's the 5 ways that I keep myself mentally and physically healthy during the lockdown. If you enjoyed this video, I appreciate it if you give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and also turn on your notifications to get a reminder when my next video is up. In next week's video, I'll be going into further detail how I've been blowing up my mind and body with good hard exercise and really great mathematics. Hopefully you can join me next week. So wherever you are in the world, stay safe, take care, and I'll see you next week.